The year 2020 has proved to be full of incredible surprises. It's really pushed humanity physically, psychologically, economically, and socially. But I think there's one surprise no one could have foreseen or anticipated, and that is mono white tokens being competitive in Modern. Everyone, this is Nikachu Merfolk Master, and I'm just completely blown away that there's this archetype which costs nothing, basically nothing. Look at all the cards. Like, what costs money in this deck? Intangible Virtue, Force of Virtue, Spectral Procession, Battle Screech, Gather the Townsfolk. This looks like a budget deck, except that people are claiming this is the deck to take down tournaments right now. People are seeing it in the leagues. Oh, like, we got here Marcelo, who went 7-2, made a very deep finish in the Modern Championships online with this mono white deck. Got it? 7-2? That is nothing to laugh at. That is an incredible finish. Let's uncork what is making this deck tick. First off, it's mono white. They don't even have black. Traditionally, the tokens deck was a black-white deck playing Inquisition of Kozilek, playing with things like Sorin. Is this the way to make the deck competitive? Take out one of the colors, make it pure mono white. Let's go find out what's going on here. Especially in the Blood Moon metagame that has been unlocked thanks to Arkham's Astrolabe's banning, we do see some advantages going mono white. For example, if you look at the deck, all it is like mostly one white mana symbol. So Veteran Loxodon, Path to Exile, Gather the Townsfolk, Raise the Alarm, Servo Expedition. Everything basically just requires one white. Even Spectral Procession. Because the hybrid effect of it is you could pay triple white, or you can pay 6 generic mana, or you can pay 1 white and 4 generic mana. So if your opponent has Blood Moon out, you're protected. Like, you only need 1 planes out to basically operate with this archetype. It's incredibly resistant to Blood Moon. So while Ponza is Blood Mooning everyone else out, mono white tokens is picking up the W's because it's not vulnerable to Blood Moon. But still, why? Why would this thing win at all? We got Path to Exile. Okay, I can buy that. Gather the Townsfolk? Even at Fateful Hour, you're probably close to dead. I don't know how making like 5 tokens with 5 or less life is going to matter. Raise the Alarm. Okay, instant speed. You Supreme Verdict my board. I'm going to put tokens onto the battlefield in response. So this deck actually has some game at instant speed. Servo Expedition. Create more 1/1s. Who cares? Unbreakable Formation. So at instant speed, you can give all your creatures indestructible. That's also going to be good against those Supreme Verdict decks, against Anger the Gods coming from Ponza. But if you play it on your main phase, it's basically a Lord. You put a +1/+1 counter on all your tokens, and you gain Vigilance. You get to attack, and you also get to block if your opponent tries to make the counter attack. We got Battle Screech here. At sorcery, you can put 2 1/1 white bird creature tokens with flying on the battlefield. That's evasion, and also you can flash it back by just tapping 3 untapped white creature tokens. You're definitely gonna, if you cast Battle Screech, you better believe you're gonna have more tokens on the battlefield. So you're basically, for 4 mana, you're putting 4 flying creatures on the battlefield. You know, screw Squadron Hawk. I mean, this is the hawk that beats all the other hawks. Spectral Procession, sure, 3 mana, 3 flying creature tokens onto the battlefield. But how are we going to push damage? So we got Legion's Landing, not too bad. A lot of value here. Put a 1/1 life linker onto the battlefield. Keep your head above water against any of those burn or prowess decks. But not only that, can be transformed into the Adanto, the First Fort. So you can get some value, keep making the tokens every single turn. Intangible Virtue. This is how we're pushing the damage. You get this thing on the battlefield. Now all your tokens are larger and they have Vigilance. Attack also while being on defense. Veteran Loxodon, probably a really big addition to an archetype like this. You ramp out this 4/4 creature, but while ramping it out with Convoke, you also make all your tokens a little bit larger for the following turns. Okay, what? Okay. You gotta be kidding me here. You gotta be kidding here. Force of Virtue. Force of Virtue. This was quoted as the largest piece of shit in Modern Horizons. Probably, this was quoted as the single worst force out of all the forces they printed out in Modern Horizons. And frankly, this has now beat the red and the black force. The Force of Negation sees play. Force of Vigor sees play. We thought we'd never see play out of Force of Virtue. This actually has seen play before. The Black Force and the Red Force has actually seen play. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, I mean, if it's not your turn, you can exile a white creature, a white card from your hand rather than pay the spell's mana cost. Has flash, so you can make some really good surprise blocks. Or you can just, just put it in play at end of turn because you don't have the mana yet, and then start attacking you. I mean, I could totally see after you put just a few tokens onto the battlefield, you just slam Intangible Virtue, or is it you end of turn Force of Vigor, slam Intangible Virtue, attack for 12. What are you gonna do, John? Huh? What are you gonna do? So, the only way I could see that Force of Virtue actually is playable or competitive, screw playable, competitive in Modern, is somebody sold their soul to the devil to make this playable. Oh, I wish tokens would be competitive in Modern. I would sell my soul to make it happen. Did I hear that somebody would sell their soul? If you agree, I can make tokens the most powerful deck in Modern. If you make Force of Virtue good, you got a deal. So what makes this almost like a budget deck, basically, is because if you just take out the Horizon lands, I mean, all the money is basically in the Horizon lands here. We got Horizon Canopy, Silent Clearing, Sunbait Canyon. It's $90 in Horizon lands. The deck online costs, I mean, it's in paper it's $183. Just replace the Horizon lands with planes, and boom, it's under $100 for a deck. So all the money here is in the Horizon lands. And good lands, by the way. We get to play Chef at Dooms, which is another way of pumping up all your creatures. And you also have Windbrisk Heights, which I think is fantastic for this deck. It has Hideaway, so when it enters the battlefield, tapped, and when it does, you look at the top 4 cards of your library, exile 1 face down. If you attack with 3 creatures, you can pay a white and tap it, and you may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost. I mean, it's incredible. Get a free Spectral Procession, get a free Force of Vigor or Intangible Virtue. It's incredible in combat. So now I think what really sells this deck is the sideboard. We've got Auriok Champion, protection from black and red, super well positioned right now. We're seeing more Death Shadow decks and more Jund decks coming out of the woodwork. But also I think it's going to be really good against those Ponza decks, has protection from black and red, and whenever another creature enters the battlefield, doesn't matter what it is, you gain a 1 life. And whoa, in a deck that generates tokens, and every single card basically is worth at least 2 life. Gather the Townsfolk, gain 2 life. Or if you're up against Burn and they put you down to, I don't know, 4 life, boom! You get 5 creatures in play and you gain 5 life. Raise the Alarm, gain 2 life. Servo Expedition, gain 2 life. Spectral Procession, gain 3 life. Legion's Landing, so long as you keep cranking out those tokens, you keep gaining life with the Auriok Champion. So really well positioned right now. Get to utilize Damping Sphere, because like, what do you care about spewing a bunch of stuff onto the battlefield? Hit those Eldrazi decks, hit those Tron decks, hit those combo decks, and also Amulet decks. Rest in Peace. You're not using your graveyard. You're not using it. Use Rest in Peace. Why not? One of the single best graveyard hate spell in Modern. Another Unbreakable Formation. And if there's any problematic card on the other side of the battlefield, something like Ensnaring Bridge or something, you have Conclave Tribunal to get rid of it. So I mean, you have a very versatile removal spell to any non-land permanent. Oh, and of course, it's got to have that really cheesy win card, just to rub it in against the Merfolk decks. Oh, Worship. I got Worship. Can you deal with it? Can you bounce Worship? Ugh, I hate this card. If you control just a single creature, damage that would reduce your life total to less than 1 reduces it to 1 instead. Very frustrating. Even if you can deal with the Worship, eventually you might not have time for it. This is a pretty aggressive tokens deck. In the past, they only had like Intangible Virtue, and I don't know, is that it? They had very few lords, and now we've got like Venerated Loxodon that puts counters on them. We have Unbreakable Formation, which put counters on them. We have Force of Virtue. Like, there are some huge spells that were just printed recently that have really pushed this deck ahead than it ever was before. And, I mean, it's so cheap online. It's $111. All you have to do is look at the online price. I mean, all you have to do is turn some Sunbaked Canyons into Silent Clearings, and boom, it's easily at $100, which is definitely low enough to rent the deck online from Mana Traders for their base rate of only like $10 a month. And if you sign up with my coupon code Nikachu, you can get 20% off your first 3 months. Link in the description. So this is the premier budget deck right now in Modern, hands down. No doubt about it. Already doing incredibly well online, making 5-0s, going deep in very powerful tournaments, and in an environment that is as hostile as Modern, this is incredibly impressive. I'm disgusted. To play Merfolk, I need like Cavern of Souls, Aether Vial, Force of Negation, Chalice of the Voids. This all costs money. This costs nothing.